Welcome to another 31 Days of Horror 2015. This is day 3, and if you've been following along, that makes the second movie on day 3, bringing me up to 4 movies by the third day, thus putting me ahead of 31. For me, the 31 Days of Horror is 31 horror films I've never seen before during the 31 days of October. For some, that may be easy. For others, not so much. For me, that isn't an easy task. I do have to do a lot of searching and watch a lot of unknown and really bad films. But today, I watched a film that is a cult classic of sorts. One that I've been wanting to watch for a long time, but I've never managed to get around to it. If you've been following along, you know that my lovely girlfriend Leslie managed to catch one of my 31 Days of Horror movies with me and came along for the video and the review. In it, she described, we talked about her watching Maniac and finding it more gory and disturbing than The Green Inferno, which we'd watched the week previously. So she watched a cannibal film and then a slasher film that was a little too gory and disturbing for her. Though this film is a cult classic, I could not subject her to this. And I know you've read the title, so you know I'm talking about Nekromantik. Now, if you're looking at this, you may have figured out what Nekromantik is about. It's a 1987 film. It's German. And it's directed by a guy, I'm going to butcher his name here, because I don't know German. Jörg Buttgereit, I'm guessing, Buttgereit, something like that, who hasn't really done a lot, and most of the stuff he's done has been in the vein of, similar stuff. He did a sequel to Nekromantik, Nekromantik 2. He did a film called Todesking, The Death King, for, if you know by the translated title. He did a film called Shram. And I think recently he did a film called Green Frankenstein. I haven't seen that film. In fact, I haven't seen any of those films. They're all on my list of to watch, but I only have Nekromantik, so that was the only one I could watch. One little tidbit of information regarding this director is, if you know the sci-fi series Lex, L-E-X-X, Canadian sci-fi series, he actually directed one of those episodes. I don't know how he got involved. I don't know how he ended up on that, but that's awesome. I mean, maybe the people making the show were fans of his or knew of his. I don't know. I can understand how they kind of work together. If you've ever watched Lex, there's a definite kind of similarity between the style and stuff that Jorg does. But yeah, I just thought that was really cool. And it was one of those things that I completely had forgotten about. I knew from a while back, but when I was watching Lex. But yeah, completely forgot about it. In terms of people in the film, you won't know any of them. I mean, the main star is a guy named, and I'm going to butcher his name again, Bernd Daktari Lawrence, I think. But no, as far as I know, none of these people went on to do anything else, which is understandable. Nekromantik is not a film that really launches your career. And you're kind of wondering why. Well, if you didn't figure it out from the image here, Nekromantik is a film about necrophilia. Having sex with dead things, dead people, dead bodies, that kind of thing. And the story essentially it centers around a one person, and he at the beginning is together with what you can consider his girlfriend, and both of them are kind of into dead things and being aroused by things that are morbid and dead and just that kind of stuff. And in one scene, she's actually taking a bath in blood while he's sort of watching a documentary, and the documentary kind of goes on about phobias, and it has sort of like a psychologist or a psychotherapist or something who's talking about how he believes, a new therapy or something that he believes he's come up with about subjecting people to their phobias is how you would get them to overcome their phobias. And he specifically mentions a case where he had a woman who was afraid of spiders, and he put a spider on her and made her essentially confront that phobia to the point where she not only was no longer afraid of spiders, but actually had a love for spiders. She surrounded herself with spiders. She had no problem. She actually wanted to be around spiders. And, it specifically goes on to say that can work for any other phobia, be it snakes or spiders or dead bodies. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. And so this main character has taken a job, I guess a new job. He's a new employee at what you would consider a biological cleanup company. Somebody who would go in after like a murder scene or find a dead body or there's been an accident or something, and goes in and cleans it up. And so they go out and they pick up all the dead body parts and the blood and the guts and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if this is something particular in Germany, but apparently, like I would think most of that stuff would be taken to the morgue, or it would have been cataloged on site and then, transported for some kind of, to the detectives or the police station or something, the police morgue, or, where they could do forensics and stuff on it. I don't know. But he seems to take a lot of this stuff home. So, this is how him and his girlfriend are essentially, getting off. And at one point he brings home almost an entire dead corpse, a very decomposed dead corpse, and thus enters one of the, essentially the why Nekromantik has gotten this cult thing about it. Its infamy is about this sex scene, essentially. They take a lead pipe type thing and screw it into this dead corpse, and she takes out a condom and puts it over this lead pipe, and then they proceed to have a threesome with this dead corpse. Positioning the body and touching it and getting it all gooey and oozy all over them and whatever. And whatever. There's a lot of nudity. There's a lot of gory. There's a lot of gross. There's just a lot of weird going on. And then he proceeds to lose his job. Essentially for not going into work, which is odd. But since he couldn't get any more dead bodies, she decides, she's going to leave him. Which leaves him to the point where it's like, I don't have my job anymore, I don't have my woman, and I've gotten this fascination with dead things, and he's getting sexually frustrated and all this kind of stuff, and builds up to a point, it climaxes at the literally at the end of the film, because he just, whatever he tries, he just can't get off. He can't figure it out, and that's essentially what the film's about. It's his love affair and is coming to terms with loving death and dying and dead bodies and all that kind of stuff. The film itself is very much it's very it has that sort of university student film, art film type feel. There isn't a lot of dialogue. There's dialogue in it. There's talking and stuff, and it's mostly at the beginning, and then it just sort of trickles off to the point where there's almost nothing after that. And yeah, it's it's got just weird imagery. There's this sort of recurring set of video of somebody killing and then skinning a rabbit, and yeah, body parts and death and just weird stuff like that. It's very, very like very art filmy, and so I can understand where this cult feeling for Nekromantik comes from, and I can understand why a lot of people, after having seen it, like something gets hyped up and then you watch it and go, oh, okay, that was different. And Nekromantik definitely would fit into that bill where, it gets built up, it's necrophilia. You don't have too many necrophilia movies out there, especially not from 1987. And so, yeah, it's cult status gets built up, and more, especially now that it's out on Blu-ray again, or Blu-ray now, you can get it. And so more and more people are seeing this. They've heard of it. They know about it. It's got this cult thing, and then they watch it, and it's not their cup of tea. It is not their cup of tea. And I will tell you right now, it's probably not your cup of tea. If you're not into art films or student films, if either of those aren't your thing, Nekromantik is not going to work for you. It doesn't matter how much gore and nudity they throw at you, you're probably not going to, it's not going to do anything for you. You're not going to enjoy what's going on screen because of the way it's presented. And then, you got a low budget type of, it's very gritty in terms of its appearance. It's one of those things, the music, everything about it is just very much this weird art. Honestly, this is the kind of thing I wouldn't be surprised that somebody would put in like an art gallery, if it was a short condensed version, because I think it's over an hour long, maybe an hour and a quarter. And so if it was down to like 20 minutes or something, I'm sure they'd put it on a loop in an art gallery, simply because it's just that type of, it's not a straight up horror film type thing. They try and disguise, I don't know if he's trying to disguise or if it's just that, when he made it, that's the mentality he was in. Probably. I mean, you look at Eraserhead and stuff like that from people who, when they started, that's kind of, a lot of people do that for their first film when they're, doing a student film or a university film. I don't know if this is the case here. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Though, if you submitted this to your teacher, I don't know. I don't think he'd take too kindly to it, he or she, whatever. But, yeah, it's... I can't recommend Nekromantik, but I can honestly say I'm glad that I've seen it, and I will definitely watch it again. Because you know what? I like gore, I like nudity, I like art films, I like student films, I like, grindhouse type, I like gritty films, I like films like Eraserhead, I like those types of films. So mixing something with, Eraserhead-ish in terms of appearance with something that's more akin to, I don't know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Machine Girl, or there's a lot more action in those. It's more Eraserhead than it is those films. It's just, putting gore and death into those things than into Eraserhead, and sex. Make Eraserhead all about gore and sex, and that's probably what Nekromantik would come across like. So if that sounds like something you want to check out, then awesome. Track down Nekromantik and take a look. It may be online somewhere. I don't suggest illegally watching it, but it's one of those films where I can't honestly suggest you buy it first, because it's not for everybody. It's not for most people. It's Nekromantik. I like the name though. I wonder what it's yeah. Wonder if it got called anything else. Nekromantik. No, it's only been called Nekromantik. See, that's how good a name this is. Nekromantik was Nekromantik. It didn't matter if it was released in Argentina or in Greece or in North America. It was Nekromantik. That's pretty cool. But yeah. Can't give it a full-on recommendation, but if anything I've said floats your boat, track it down. Give it a look. Give it a watch. Own it. Do whatever you need to. But yeah, if the idea of having sex with dead bodies or student films, art films, that kind of stuff isn't your cup of tea, then steer way clear. Because yeah, Nekromantik's not for you. Not at all. So, that concludes this 31 Days of Horror episode. There will be more to come because I've got a minimum of 31 to do this year, and I'm only at 4. So, keep watching. Until next video, take care. Have a good one.